more or less.
Shoot. So we're gonna spend,
Or 50 or 60.
yeah,
Yeah, 188 to 240 ballpark.
yeah, 188 to,
But
almost 189,
I tried to do what I could, just to see, like,
247.
was it more of a recommendation or was it a requirement?
Mhm.
And based on the best that I have, it is a requirement.
I'm sure
It's
this
not-
person will be upset too.
Very much so. Let us know.
It'll be a learning
Yeah,
experience.
yeah,
for you.
you'll hear about it.
I am 100% going to hear about it. Because I heard about it the last time. I still hear about it. Months later. I just have to plan this real quick.
Let me know when you're situated.
All good.
When we get up.
What are you guys are gonna say?
Oh, alright,
We're just gonna wait till-
alright, we good?
Yep.
Cameraman's good? Thumbs up?
Action.
Alright. I am gonna call this, special meeting of the Board of Health to order at 5 o'clock. Please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alright, we have 4 out of 5 board members, so we have a quorum. And I don't think we received any minutes for.
No, not for this
Okay,
one.
so that is, we'll just skip right over that. Okay. Permission to adopt change to home sewage treatment rules, third and final reading.
Yeah, so for those that don't, or for those of you who recall, the last time that we read it as the third and final. Dan and I were going back to some minutes. We tabled one of them instead of reading it.
Yeah.
And we did not catch that when we did that. So as we were going back and doing all our checks and balances, that came up. So Dan has it. If he wants to read it, we can do a third and final reading.
Alright, let her rip.
Permission to adopt the change of home sewage treatment rules, third and final reading. Current language, the Geauga County Board of Health adopts a rule authorizing service providers registered with the Geauga County Health District to collect samples for NPDES annual sampling requirements. The proposed change, Geauga County Board of Health adopts a rule requiring a collection of the annual required NPDES sample to be completed by the Geauga County Board of Health.
Alright, so do we need a motion to?
Yes,
Okay.
motion to adopt.
So is there a motion to adopt the change to the home sewage treatment rules, the third and final reading?
So moved. I second.
Alright, Dr. Rude moved and Dr. Hendrickson second. Roll call vote?
Yeah, Dr. Hendrickson,
Yes.
Dr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Roman,
Yes.
Mrs. Brady.
Yes. Alright, so that motion carries. New business, the levy.
Yeah, so the resolution that was prepared by the prosecutor's office reads that the Geauga County Board of Health met in special session on July 12, 2023 at 12611 Ravenwood Drive, Commissioners Chambers in Clarendon Township, Ohio, with the following board members present. Fill out your names. Board member, and then we'll do move and adopt it. Whereas the township and villages of Geauga County are organized in a general health district, and the Board of Health is organized pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 3709.03 as a general health district. Board of Health with the duties and authorities set forth in chapters 3707 and 3709 of the Ohio Revised Code. The Board of Health is collecting monies from an existing 0.2 mil levy for the purpose of providing sufficient funds to the Board of Health to carry out its health program and said levy, and due to expire at the end of tax year 2023 with collection in tax year 2024. And whereas pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 3709.29, the Board of Health certifies the Geauga County Board of Commissioners as estimated that the amount of money necessary to meet the expenses of the health district's program will not be forthcoming to the Board of Health out of the health district's fund because taxes within the 10 mil limitations will be insufficient. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Health hereby certifies to the Geauga County Board of Commissioners that it is estimated that the amount of money necessary to meet the expenses of the health district's program will not be forthcoming to the Board of Health out of the health district's fund because the taxes within the 10 mil limitation will be insufficient. But be it further resolved that the Board of Health requests the Geauga County Board of Commissioners as the taxing authority for the Board of Health to declare by resolution that the amount of taxes which may be raised within the 10 mil limitation will be insufficient to provide an adequate amount for the requirements of the health district within Geauga County, and is necessary to levy a tax in excess of such limitations for the renewal of existing 0.2 mil levy first voted in 2009 for a period of 5 years in order to provide the Board of Health with sufficient funds to carry out such health programs. Be it further resolved that the Board of Health requests the Geauga County Board of Commissioners to pass a resolution in order to submit such such question to the ballot for the general election to be held November 7th, 2023, and then second motion, and then ayes and nays. So that is the resolution they put before you. I took the liberty to assume that we were going to go with a renewal. I think that was the general understanding I had from everyone. I think it's what is necessary. So I'll pass this first to Mrs. Brakey. You guys can read it if you'd like. I mean, obviously just read it, but we need to vote on that tonight. And I will have to take that to the county commissioners next Tuesday, or this coming Tuesday, I should say. Then after that, it goes to the county auditor for his voice on that. It's to certify the need and what the monies are going to be. Then it goes back to the county commissioners the next Tuesday after that, and then it goes into the Board of Elections after that. And that'll be before the 9th, August 9th. So
we meet the deadline if we do this.
we have about a week buffer because of how fast we moved on this. With the prosecutor and auditor's help, we're going fast. I've already talked to the county commissioners. It will be on the agenda. As soon as you guys vote on it, I have the ability to get it on the agenda for next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. And then we'll also put on the Tuesday after that with the assumption that the auditor will do his portion in between those 2 points.
This is a 5-year, so it's basically
5 year.
2024 to 2029.
Correct.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt resolution number 2023-11?
I so move.
I second.
So moved by Dr. Hendrickson, second by Dr. Rude. So let's have some discussion on that then.
I think the points have been previously taken that we're looking to provide no more but no less than what we need to sustain the programs that we have going at least through this budget cycle.
Correct.
And I think that this is the most taxpayer-friendly way of accomplishing that task, while still meeting the minimum commitments of the Board of Health.
Yes.
So I'm in favor of this motion.
And the other thing, just for clarity, last time we met, we will actually see some increase in the amount of dollars simply because of the construction that has taken place in the county.
Yeah,
I think that's true every year.
Yeah, every year
Yeah.
we see
Okay.
it.
To the extent that there's any new homes that are
Yep.
added, even though the millage is fixed, the
Fixed.
total amount could increase. I think it perhaps is also important to just discuss briefly the sources of funding from the health district. So we have 3 sources of funding, and of course, all of us have been here a few months now, but maybe this is new for Dr. Hendrickson and some folks in the audience. So we receive money from fees and licenses, things like inspections and so forth. Those are rather limited as far as how that money can be used. You can tell me if I'm wrong here, Adam, but if you take money for, some sort of inspection related to environmental health, that money has to stay in environmental health. It cannot be shifted to population health. Our second source of income would be from grants. And, fortunately / unfortunately, we're a healthy and wealthy county, so we're rather limited in what grants we receive. And then the final source of funding is the levy, which is what we'd be voting on.
Am I able to add something?
Yeah, absolutely, please do.
There was just one thing that I thought was really, which I didn't understand until the auditor was here, but maybe I misunderstood him, but it did sound like the state actually funds like 12% of the levy.
Right.
So I thought, for good or bad, if the levy passes, it's as good of a deal as you can get for the residents also of the county.
Right, yeah, as long as we do a renewal rather than a new
Yeah.
levy, we get that, I believe it's called a homestead rollback,
Yep.
which we get money from the state. I mean, it's still taxpayer dollars, but at
Yes.
least it's coming
But at
from,
least locally, it
Yeah.
saves taxpayers money, I think.
yeah.
And I think, because I actually took time to go through every page in this book before I came to the
Look at
meeting
those
today.
notes.
Little
Yeah.
light reading.
Look at those notes.
Well,
She's
no,
got-
some of
she's
the
got
notes were
Post-it
from last
notes.
time, but this was from last time. But what I thought was interesting is that our renewal basically is $5.41 per $100,000. I don't think people understand that. Because you presented the tax bill, I went home and looked in mine and I really went, really? All I pay half a year is like $14 or $13, whatever it was. So
Yeah.
I just think most people don't understand that
Right.
it is a very low amount. So,
Yeah, I was struck by that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it says other, I think, and there may be other things that are
Yes.
in that other.
Other
It's so
and-
small, it's not even.
right, and they
um,
couldn't
pulled
account for that,
out.
but the point is that $5.41 per 100,000 is really a very small amount of money, I think, for
And we're providing a lot of value for that
for that.
dollar.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it.
Yeah, and I think the board has done everything in our power to responsibly manage the finances of this health department. So at this point, I believe it's reasonable to put it to the voters to decide whether to renew the existing levy without increase, despite this inflationary environment that we find ourselves in.
And do we have any sense of how much money per annum we have from the first two components?
Grants for
Grants
and-
fees and
Oh,
licenses.
Grants and-
so it varies some. The fees are the vast majority of the health department, but it's also the vast majority of the staff. I mean, EH is by far the health department. Grants, 200,000 or less, roughly, depending on which grants we have in play. There is one grant that makes up about 200,000 on its own. It's a temporary grant as of right now, though. So I mean, it is there, and it helps offset our expenses. It's for staffing only, and it's through the state. It's a newer grant, but it's not a guaranteed like year after year. The other ones we have are generally very stable for a very long time. But I will say,
small.
but small.
Yeah, yeah.
The Immunization Action Plan, or Get Vaccinated Ohio as it's now called, that grant, as an example, we are too small of a county, or sorry, too small of an entity now, population-wise, to be eligible for that. So it now went to a different county, and then we contract with them to get it back. And the hope is that doesn't happen with additional grants, but you know, for a long time we were told that grant would never happen. And this year was the first year they said you're no longer eligible to apply on your own. You have to apply with somebody else.
So I guess I should have added, we're too healthy, too wealthy, and too small.
Too small, right, and I was gonna add that.
To some degree, yes. Yeah. For the factors that they use, we did not qualify any longer to do that. I don't want to say it's just size, 'cause there's more just size in there. But you know, that was one of those grants that was like a given for years. Like if you exist, you're gonna get it. And now it's like, well, not anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was gonna bring that point up, is that this county is, population-wise, too small to qualify for some grants.
Yeah, that's a good point
It
too.
makes it very tough.
Okay.
And it's true that timing, getting this on for August is critical, so we maintain the renewal status and also the 12% from the state.
Yeah, so this is called a year early in essence because we still collect in 24. So it gives us, I think, with Mr. Walter, he tends to call it 3 bites at the apple or bite at the apple. So we have additional ones.
Elections.
Elections, right,
Different
and-
elections, we can put it on if it fails.
Right, and this is why we prioritize this as much as we did, and thank goodness for the prosecutor's office and the auditor's office, because, you know, this was, you know, we did our best to do this too early.
I also
So,
think it's fiscally responsible that we're putting it on at a time when there are so many levies and other
Yes.
use of the election. Therefore, our cost for our levy is the least it could possibly be.
Yeah, that's a good point,
And,
Dr. Root.
and I talked to Mrs. Roman about that actually today when her and I were on a call, was the same thing, is that, you know, had we done this, you know, at a different time with
Yeah,
like
like
one
the
item.
May election.
Right, we may pay significantly
Right.
more for the exact same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is and as mentioned, the homestead rollback makes a huge difference. That's 12%, as Dan mentioned and Carolyn mentioned, and we are the lowest levy still in the county. So we're doing a lot for what we have, honestly.
Okay.
Should we sign this then, or just pass
No,
it?
You'll have to
let's-
vote first.
Yeah, so let's roll call vote.
Yeah, we had a first and a second.
Yes.
So Dr. Hendrickson,
Yes.
Dr. Root,
Yes.
Ms. Roman,
Yes,
Ms. Brakey.
Yes.
Okay, and then the first and seconds, if you can just write your name on the first and second line, and then you have to write your name on those lines at the very top too. It says who's present, you'll write your name, and you'll sign the back, and then circle aye or nay. And I'll put absent for Mrs. Jones.
I'll put these in order here, too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on to the Parkman well replacement bid.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the lowest bid did not meet the criteria for the bid. So you had to submit some documents. I put on the TV behind Mrs. Brakey and behind everyone technically. One of the items is the contractor equal employment opportunity certification. There's also a delinquent property tax form that must be signed. Those two were not provided by the lowest bidder. Through discussion with the prosecutor's office today, we cannot accept that bid without incurring a huge amount of liability. Well, we can't accept it, but it also incurs a significant amount of liability at that point because we accepted a bid that did not meet the criteria.
Right.
So that would mean that the bid would go to Donemark, and they were the ones that won the first well drilling actually as well. They did have all their documentation, they had their bid bond, their total bid for the houses that we are aware of, and this will change likely based on maybe about, I think 16 additional houses we're testing, is $247,947. So we are going to do that, or sorry, that is the one I'm going to put before you to have done, and to have it as the award. We did remind everyone at the bidder meeting, I did remind them after that, submit the entire document. I did remind them because it is a pain in the butt when somebody forgets a single page.
Yeah.
But these are called sealed bids, so when Dan and I get them, they're in a sealed document, we can't even look at them. So I can't even say, hey, you forgot page 5. When we open them at 4:31 on Friday, whatever you have in there is all you're allowed to have in there. So if the board be so inclined, that's the number we'd go with. If everyone remembers, we did certify $600,000 last board meeting in revenue and expense for that fund that these were paid out of. This bid's obviously $247. It's potential that there will be increases based on other houses and other wells or unforeseens. The one last time had an Amish gentleman that wanted an air pump well and not a solar powered well, and so that had increased additional cost because that's not an easy product we have here. They had to go to Pennsylvania actually to get one.
The bidding that we can accept is from who again?
Donemark,
Have we worked with them before?
they actually won the phase one,
I see.
air quotes phase one. They also worked with Ohio EPA amongst other ones quite a few times. It sounds like they have other contracts with them. So that is the one that we would assign it to. We have up to $600,000 to use on this project. Obviously, the goal is not to use more than we have to, though. It's obviously the goal. But that's where we're at right now. If everyone is so inclined, that's what we're going to go with.
Do you have a resolution?
I don't have a resolution.
Okay.
We do a motion. I just need permission from you guys to contract with the lowest and best, which it is honestly.
Okay, so we
it's
don't need to
so-
say Donemark, we just need to say the lowest and
Yeah, I
best.
mean, given that we just discussed it, I think we're fine on that.
Okay, and then do we need a not to exceed cost associated with that?
We can put not to exceed 600,000, and I say that because that is the total of the contract, so I don't want to do less than the contract on the off chance we actually need it. As unlikely as that is.
Even though they only bid,
Well, they bid 247 on
Seven.
7 properties, I believe. There's 16 more we're testing in the next week or two. So there's
Okay.
potential that we'll have more.
okay.
Normally, I would have more information on this, like probably who won and everything. The problem I ran into is I literally got confirmation from the prosecutor's office about half an hour ago, an hour ago, as to you can't accept the one. So I was kind of holding off on having too much information on here and having it in front of the public to then recant it.
Understand.
So
So the only way it could be up to $600,000 is if significantly more wells
correct.
are required, and then you don't have to come back to us.
Yes, because the contract would cover would cover up to 600,000. Anything in excess of that, I would have to go back to the Ohio EPA. It's 7 properties. I just want to make sure it was 7.
And they would have to
but-
keep that per well cost, correct? I mean, they can't increase, or that can.
They can increase that based on like if there's an Amish
Oh,
gentleman.
okay.
There are no Amish in this one that we looked at, but there are, or if there's, so ironically, one of the wells had a uncapped well on the property.
Oh, right. I
So we had to
remember that.
cap a well that we didn't know about. And so those were all costs that I did not feel comfortable putting on the homeowner. Given the whole point of this was to get them a new well, if I had to tag them with another fee and a licensure, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. It was a bad taste in the mouth, to say the very least. So,
And thinking and planning ahead, like we had the meetings previously with the families and the homeowners' families in the township, can we, just seeing how the schedule is for the work, come up with a date that would be good to meet with them again?
yeah, these have to be done barring any unforeseen circumstances by the end of August. That is the date. So these need to be done pretty quick.
Oh, wow.
But last time it should have been done pretty quick too. It was just, we did it in December, the weather turned really bad, and in January didn't help us at all, and then we couldn't finish the landscaping until actually just recently we're trying to finish it. So we'll probably do another, I hate to say like a presser, but it's the chance for the trustees to speak and everything else and put it in front of the newspapers that people are getting help.
Okay.
Okay,
Do we have any update on moving that salt dome?
We actually can't do that here, because it's a special meeting.
Oh, right, okay. Is there a motion to award the Parkman Township Well Replacement Project Phase 2 bid to the lowest and best bidder at a price not to exceed $600,000?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Hendrickson,
Was the second?
one of those two was.
One of the marks.
I'll give
Yeah.
it to Mark.
All right.
Mark will defer to Mark.
Oh, this audio recording's gonna go nuts.
Gina's gonna love it.
Yeah.
Roman motion.
Roman motion. Dr. Hendrickson? Yes? All right, Dr.
Yes.
for the audio, they need the yes. Dr.
Yes.
Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Roman?
Yes.
Ms. Brakey?
Yes.
All right. All right, so that one passes. The next one is the landscaping. So we were working with a company to get this done. The company did not respond to our vendor form we needed as a county agency. They just submitted it after I put this all together. Ironically, I found a second company willing to bid on it, so they're actually bidding tonight at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So if you give me the authority to enter into the lowest and best contract, or lowest and best quote, 'cause it's gonna be a quote, we'll have this done and it's all covered under the phase 1 of Parkman Wells. But again, I literally put all this together and then they sent the form in like at 4:30 and something like that on Saturday, and I was like, well, this is not.
And
not on me.
what's our budget for that?
I want to say it was right around $11,000 was to fix the properties for the landscaping, and that's covered by the phase 1 contract. Phase 2 is also covered. That one we just voted on covers phase 2 as well. It will cover phase 2.
Okay, so,
So what do you need?
Need a first and a second.
well, hold
Or,
on.
well, sorry.
Is there, what's the not to exceed cost?
If we put not to exceed 15,000,
Okay, we
we
should
should be
be
fine
set. And
with
that's
that.
just for the phase 1 work, or?
just for phase 1.
Okay, so
It's
we'll
not
we'll
phase
have
2.
another motion. Okay, so is there a motion to grant Geauga Public Health authority to contract with a landscaping company to complete landscaping for Parkman Wells Phase 1 work to the lowest and best bidder not to exceed $15,000?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Dr. Rude,
Yes.
Ms. Roman,
Yes.
Ms. Brakey.
Yes.
And I apologize for that. Normally, we would just went with the person we had, but once we get a second quote, I don't feel comfortable giving someone if they're higher without going to the lowest and best. So kind of to redo the motion we made before. The last one, I'm going to pass the appropriations around. This is to increase. So well, at this meeting, we're only doing one thing. When we went to pay, or we increased the appropriations last time for contract services to general fund to pay for the the House Bill 110 repayment to people, we were doing it out of the general fund. The money in the sewage treatment fund is really the money that should come out of there. And we talked about transferring the money into the general fund. After talking to Mr. Lighty and looking back through it, the better option here is to appropriate the money in the sewage treatment systems fund, transfer a little bit of cash from general fund to there to meet the whole requirement, and use that money in that fund is the correct way to do it. The better option. So at our next board meeting, because I didn't have time to put on here to rescind the last one, we'll rescind part of the last one. We did the $1 million to the general fund. We'll just rescind that portion of it because we're going to have to do that.
Okay, so where, do you have?
Yes,
where-
so that's the appropriations. So we're increasing transfers out in the general fund, so we can transfer the money to the other fund. We're increasing transfers in to sewage treatment so that we can transfer the money in, and then we're increasing the contract services by 1.1 million to pay for that. What this will also cover, that $1.1 million, is really can't really discuss. We can't have a discussion point here, but I think I know where we go with it. Is that if someone, I think I mentioned this before, if we put a memo out to Joe Blow's plumbing company that they paid for this and didn't get the service, and they're not at that address, that costs additional. It's up to $5,000 to $10,000 to then do a property search and do it. That 1.1 will have enough to cover that. We think that should be more than enough from talking to Mr. Kostura to cover everything. And this will draw down that sewage treatment fund to darn near $0 left in it.
Okay, so just make sure I understand, just looking at
Yes.
this. So we need a motion to transfer in,
I would just do a motion as presented
Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna so we're allowing transfers in of 200,000
And then the transfers
out of 75 because there's already 125 in general fund now. So now to make it 200 and
So
200.
then, what's this,
The 1.1, that's contract services. So that will actually allow us to to contract with, I don't remember the name of the company, the claims administrator. And we're gonna pay it out of that fund, which is sewage treatment systems.
okay,
It's the fund that would have been more impacted by that service. And so realistically, it should come out of there, not general fund.
okay. I'm just gonna pass this down so folks can,
Yeah.
see what's going on.
Do we need to sign any of that?
No,
thing?
we
Not
need to
tonight.
move
Wait till we
first.
vote.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a little complicated. Usually if we transfer in and out, they're equal, but we already had 125,000 in general fund to transfer out. So I was only to do 75,000, make it 200 flat, do 200 in the other one, and that equals out that way. And the 1.1 million will be in that fund and we'll allow that transfer. And then we'll rescind the other one that we did. I was talking to Mr. Lighty and I was talking to the team here and it didn't make sense to put out general fund. The money doesn't kind of track where it goes into.
This is some accounting nerd
Oh
stuff.
my
if you ask
gosh,
me.
it's an interesting thing.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the appropriations for increase and decrease as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any, discussion? Roll call vote?
Dr. Rude?
Yes.
Dr. Henderson? I don't know why I said that. Dr. Henderson?
Yes.
Miss Roman?
Yes.
Miss Brakey?
Yes.
Just look at Dr. Rude, I'm like, no, I'm gonna call him out first.
Should we sign this now?
Yeah, you can go ahead
Yeah.
and sign, you can work back through here.
All right,
Uh,
public comment.
Yes,
We're ready to move on?
yep.
Does anyone, 2 minutes per speaker. Anyone have public comment they would like to make? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
From here.
Yep, you're
Yeah,
fine.
wherever you
Okay.
want, you can come up.
So, a question about the new wells in Parkland, I'm from Parkland.
Yes,
on
sir.
Church Street.
Yes.
What are the, I know there was a specific amount that there was supposed to be, for getting a new well. And then, is that the same? That was the first question, I guess. Second question would be like, how are we gonna know if we're gonna be getting checked? Cause you said you had 7 already that you're rechecking or something. They had checked mine the first round, but I wasn't home, I was out of town at the time, and they checked it after my softener, and they're like, oh, your water's great. So, I don't think my water's great. A lot of people tell me my water tastes salty, and it's, not to mention, it's, whatever. So,
What's your name, sir?
Andrew Matlack,
What is it? I'm sorry.
Andrew Matlack.
Okay.
Why don't you talk with Mr. Lark when we're done here?
Okay.
He's the EH director, and we can make sure, he has the property list in his office, we can make sure what it was.
Okay.
I'm just gonna stop with that.
Okay.
And just make sure you're covered on that, and make sure you give me your property address and a good contact number.
Okay.
We'd put not mailers, but like notices in your door if we were gonna test it, coming back, if you want us to. But off the top of my head, I don't know off the property numbers and what their numbers were without that sheet we had.
Yeah.
We had a tracking sheet, so I'd have to pull the tracking sheet.
Okay.
But yeah, talk with Mr. Lark when we're done here, and then he can make sure we go out there and make sure you're taken care of if need
Okay.
be.
And then the only other little thing was about the sewer. There was something with the taxes. Is this that? I think I'm at the wrong meeting.
Yeah, that one's not this one.
Okay.
You're probably talking about the sewage packaging plant.
They were talking about doing something with the taxes because was it a representative or?
Yeah, that's Chuck Wall at the auditor's office.
Okay.
Okay.
I would say it's either
Oh,
Walter's
right.
office or it's
Alright,
Water
so
Resources. One of the two.
Yeah, I think they're they're reappraising the homes
Yeah.
where the wells are impacted by, to decrease your value so you pay less in property taxes, because until your well's fixed, your home is worth less money due to the quality of your water. So but that's the auditor's office. Mr. Walter was taking care of that.
And Henry's one of your trustees. He'd be a great person to talk to. He can anything he's aware of, or him and I talk often enough, we can get you taken care of.
Okay.
Be happy to help you.
All right, thanks.
Yep, no problem. Ed, his lovely wife.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Is ODOT or the state helping with any of these well things, money-wise?
Ohio EPA is paying at least to our knowledge, they're the ones that have the contract, and they're paying for 100% of the freight of this. an ODOT did move their facility. It's down.
Yeah.
And it's, I forget where it's going to move to though. I just don't recall.
Alright, good.
I know it's down the road, but I don't know where.
Okay, but there is some financial help there.
Yeah, they've, it would be 900,000 now is what they've provided to us. Allowable up to 900,000, sorry, up to 900,000. 300,000 the first time and 600,000 this time. Any additional folks? Go ahead.
Would it be possible to get a copy of that appropriations
Yeah,
information?
yeah. If you can send me an email, I'll send it to you
Okay.
as usual. Mr. Cameraman? I thought you were a filibuster, you said, buddy. All right, that's it.
All right, well, with nothing further, let's adjourn the meeting at 5:29 PM. This is a record.
This is the shortest meeting I've attended.
It's the shortest meeting I've attended. I've been here a little longer than you, Dr.
I need your signature on this one.
Okay.
Our cross-jurisdictional agreement they decided was not enough to allow me to sign a
Dan,
contract
enjoy the conversation.
for
Thank you.
Ohio
Yes.
Transportation Safety Officer.